Lead story from Monday, April 8th. Tech stocks swing widely as the Trump administration reaffirmed global tariff plans. It's totally rattled markets after last week's $1.8 trillion sell-off. Despite early losses, major players like Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, and Nvidia have closed higher. Apple and Tesla ended in the red, although Tesla came back up in after-hours trading. While hopes of tariff delays briefly buoyed sentiment, Wall Street braced for a broader economic fallout, with corporate leaders warning of rising costs and slowed growth. Well, obviously, the tariffs have been everything in the news. And one thing is for sure, it has not gone without notice of really all the tech stories, because it's just really everywhere and anywhere. This particular discussion, we've seen TSMC have one of the biggest one day, or Taiwan having one of the biggest day drops, and specifically TMC took a big hit. We know that Bitcoin is down in a significant way. We know that lots of activity is happening in the market, really due to this volatility. But at the same time, we're starting to see countries like, the EU coming and say, hey, we want to do 0 for 0. A number of countries saying 0 for 0. We will see where all of this leads in really the coming weeks. But one thing for sure, stock prices are just a little bit crazy. I want to welcome you to episode 1812. I'm your host, Todd Cochran. Of course, a shout out to our incredible sponsor at GoDaddy. Score exclusive deals and discounts at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And to all of our listeners, you're the heartbeat of the show. If you want to support GNC, head to geeknewscentral.com/insider. And we want you to support the show. Of course, a shout out to GoDaddy as well. We are lit and live. Don't just listen, experience the show live by grabbing a modern podcast tab at podcastapps.com. And of course, check out the full Geek News Central universe at geeknewscentral.com. Definitely get over there and view the website. It's easy to stay engaged. Follow or subscribe to the podcast with your favorite podcast app. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter at geeknewscentral.com for more insider scoops. Of course, we want you to consider sending an email to the show, geeknews@gmail.com. You can follow me on X at geeknews. Of course, geeknews.chat is a place you can go to hang out and to also participate in conversations there with the team. So, again, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter while you're at it. Geek News Central listeners, really what it all boils down to is our support of our sponsor. And GoDaddy's been a longtime sponsor here of the Geek News Central podcast. These promo codes allow you to save money in a big, big way. And really, the savings do truly start here. Let's start with a website or a podcast. GNC codes make it easy and affordable. Grab GoDaddy's economy hosting for just $6.99 a month. That's a full year of hosting with a free domain name, professional email, and SSL certificate. Of course, if you're interested in WordPress, my favorite, WordPress managed hosting is just $12.99 a month, which includes a free domain, professional email, and an SSL certificate. Need a domain name? You can get yours for just $11.99. How about GoDaddy Website Builder? That's a free 30-day trial on personal, business, or business plus plans. Of course, Geek News Central uses all the GoDaddy products and services, and your support keep this podcast alive with our codes. Definitely grab one. Share these with your friends and family. That's the best way to do it. Again, we want to thank you for your support of GoDaddy. Thank us for keeping us online and going strong. So, just a little bit of a change to the setup today. And I'm still tweaking everything because I feel like I'm not completely dialed in here. Um, we've been having some trouble with some audio. And apparently, on the stream, from time to time, it makes a little noise. And a noise that we can't track down. Now, part of my original plan when I was coming back to the Philippines, I was going to run everything on a Mac Mini. And I finally got the new webcam in. And so I'm currently running everything now on a Mac Mini. And there's really two issues that I have with the new setup so far. Eyeballs. My eyeball seems to be always appears to be looking down versus the camera, even though I'm looking directly at the camera right now. Also, the green screen, I guess for better words, the keying is not perfect. I see a lot of green around the edge of my head. Maybe it's because of the shirt I'm wearing today. And really, that's the two main things. So hopefully, we've got the audio situation solved. It's something to do with maybe running on a power supply. I don't know, but I'll be listening back to the audio and make sure there isn't the little doot that we kept hearing. It's always something, for sure. And want to provide the best. And this really sets everything up to the point where when I go home, all I do is turn things off. I don't have to unhook the laptop. And I can still tie the machines together. So so far so good. Pretty happy. But anyway, we'll see if the audio quality has improved. So enough on this discussion. Let's go get into the rest of the stack. And I do want to thank our insiders. We'll cover all our insider donations on the next show. Now, obviously, Apple apparently flew 3 airplanes of gear back before the tariffs went into effect. Phones, laptops. So they got as much stock out of China as they could. And they basically have said they are going to now ramp up production in India, which to me I was like, okay. So, one way to avoid tariffs is, again, not doing as much business in the country where tariffs are so high. And China has doubled down, and if they don't acquiesce, there's going to be additional tariffs on China. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. That will be that'll be the telltale sign here of what is to happen for sure. Oh, it was 5 airplanes full of iPhones and other products in just 3 days. They flew them out of India? Huh. How many did they fly out of China? Now, these reserves are going to help things for a few days, but people have been rushing to the Apple store to pick stuff up. And as I talked about, buy your electronics before the tariffs kicked in, but now it's too late. But at the same time, Apple say they're going to source more iPhones from India as a potential tariff fix. How about just bringing manufacturer back to the United States? But of course, that will take some time to accomplish. GM's UK design team imagines an electrified Corvette. So we will see. But again, the futuristic new electric-powered Corvette was done by the design team in Birmingham, England. The team developed a hypercar design inspired by aviation industry with a sculpted aerodynamic design and keeping the typical Corvette lines for better guess. There's been more discussion about the White House chat group and how it actually happened. And I didn't even know this is a thing. How did they add this guy to the chat? Well, the outlet says because he had approved a Siri suggestion to update the contact at some point. So I didn't know Siri would suggest updates to contacts. If it's true, I guess, that Siri can make these suggestions based on info like phone numbers and that it finds in your text messages, something you can disable in iOS settings apps. But perhaps Siri never should have had the chance to end up tangled in a national security scandal here. According to The Guardian, the White House has authorized the use of Signal because there's no alternative platform to text in real time across different agencies, and I completely agree with that based upon my prior life. But interesting that this was all caused by an automated update that they opted into. Windows 11 is rumored to have a new start menu redesign that could eat up a huge chunk of desktop space for some user. Although it can be tamed, you might get a flashback to Windows 8, but really don't panic here. Microsoft looks to be mulling a redesign for the start menu, and we saw that last week in hidden testing, and now we've caught a glimpse of what it looks like with the phone link side panel enabled. This configuration of start menu takes up most of the desktop, but there's a switch that you can flick to change it. So for those of you that are hardcore Windows users, taming the start menu can be challenging at times. Vio is announcing that it's advertising tariff-free laptop prices for a limited time. So they're promoting current prices on laptop stock that hasn't been affected by the import tax. So very, very simple. All Japan has to do is come to the table, have a discussion, and this can be fixed. We'll see how fast these tariff changes happen as countries acquiesce. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop me an email, geeknews@gmail.com. Potential NASA Earth science cuts highlight budget uncertainty. Of course, I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to become uncertain. Some NASA Earth science missions have been told to prepare termination plans given the potential for major budget cuts in the agency's overall science activities. Representative George Whiteside, Democrat of California, vice-ranking member of the House Science Committee, said at a congressional roundtable during the 40th Space Symposium that he had recently learned that Earth science missions in formulation and those in extended operation after their prime missions have been asked to prepare termination plans starting for fiscal 2026. Now, they haven't done this officially, but basically told them to start planning. Now, here's my thing. We know that a lot of science projects are limited in scope. They're going to go for 90, 120, a year, 2 years, 3 years. And oftentimes those missions get extended. And those missions get extended with significant budget impacts. So I can foresee people being held to make sure that their mission times are exactly what they're supposed to be. And not a day longer in this current. And if you need longer, you should have planned that in the very, very beginning. Google's AI mode can now see and search with images. Google is adding multimodal capabilities to its search-centric AI mode that enables it to see and answer questions about images as it expands access to AI mode to millions of more users. Of course, ChatGPT's been able to do this for a very long time. is being able to see and answer questions about images. So I think they're about a year behind in this regard. So good to see this to come to Google AI. SpaceX has scored $5.9 billion lion's share of Space Force launch contracts. ULA won $5.4 billion before everyone freaks out. SpaceX got 5.9, ULA got 5.4, and Blue Origin got 2.4. So SpaceX is due 28 missions. ULA is going to get 19, and Blue Origin is expected to get 2 missions. So amazing that Blue Origin got $2.4 billion for 2 missions, while Elon Musk got $5.9 million for 28 missions. A little bit of a disparity there in total number of mission counts, and not the best bang for the buck for sure for the U.S. government. Apple's 20th anniversary iPhone could bring major design overhauls. This has been rumored. And according to Bloomberg, the company is developing a special Pro model featuring more glass elements to mark its 2 decades of existence. The company is also expected to launch a foldable iPhone alongside the redesigned Pro, but it's unclear if that would be first or second iteration. Reports currently point to a 2026 launch for a foldable iPhone, and Apple remains the only major smartphone manufacturer without a foldable device. I think I would just prefer not to have one. Amazingly, the U.S. government was still been using magnetic tape. The U.S. government says it will save $1 million a year by getting rid of magnetic tape, so there's still a place for tape in 2025? Question. The GSA has decommissioned 14,000 tapes and an unknown 14,000 tapes and an unknown amount of tape drives that had to be maintained. The data is being moved to new unknown media platforms that appears to have worm capabilities. Of course, that's write once, read a multiple, or read many. So they're about to save about $1 million a year, no longer needing tapes. Been coming out by the Port of Seattle, they say 90,000 people were impacted by the ransomware attack. This was the data that was stolen in August of 2024, and that forced the port to isolate critical systems, which impacted the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, Fisherman's Terminal, and port marinas it operates. By mid-September, the port confirmed that ransomware was used in the attack, and they refused to pay the $6 million ransom. So good on them for not paying the ransom, and hopefully their support, their backups were good. That's always the challenge. Apple's rumored smart home hub has another setback. There's been a number of rumors suggesting Apple has been working on a smart home display to rivals Google Nest and Amazon Echo for a while. The device was initially expected to be revealed this year, but according to the latest reports from Mark Gurman of Bloomberg, Apple is considering a delay until 2026 for the smart home device. Gurman said in his Power On newsletter that major engineering hiccups related to the revamped Siri voice assistant have ended up delaying the project. So that will get pushed. X is going to clamp down on... Oh, that's nice. Elon is going to clamp down on parody accounts. So from April 10th, accounts which impersonates another user person must use keywords such as fake or parody at the start of their account names, not at the end. The platform will also require parody accounts users to put a different image belonging to those. The platform will also require parody account holders to use different images to the X accounts belonging to those they seek to represent. Some users complained about confusion caused by parody accounts on the platforms, such as those even impersonating Elon. So this will be a change. And they want to know when people know there's a parity count. Even I have to look sometimes look at the accounts and make sure that they are who they say they are. Microsoft is apologizing after publishing. Siri is like going crazy. Siri, never mind. Microsoft apologizes after publishing incorrect software prices. The prices were temporarily wrong and published on April 5th, for April 1st, no less. They admitted to publishing the wrong prices. They were rectified on April 4th. The 5% hike only affects monthly subscriptions. But I guess there was a bigger error that was published. So good. April's Fool, that was a mistake. Cereal giant KW Kellogg reveals a data breach, but it's lacking any real data. Fortunately, so far only 4 people seem to be affected. And this could be connected to the recent Clio file transfer breach. So pretty good. It's only 4 people. So not a big one, but still they did reported it. The United Kingdom is banning fake reviews and sneaky fees for online products. They banned outrageous fake reviews and sneaky. What is a sneaky hidden fee? New measures under the DMCC came into force on Sunday, require online platforms to transparently include all mandatory fees within a product's advertised price, including booking or admin charges. Will also target so-called dripped pricing, in which additional fees like platform service charges are dripped in during a customer checkout process to dupe them into paying a higher price than expected. The ban aims to bring to an end the shock that online shoppers get when they reach the end of their shopping experience. So, change here in the UK, and those of you that do business in the UK. Now, the EU has basically said they're going to propose a zero tariff for all products and services in the EU. But others in the EU are talking different. Speaking ahead of today's extraordinary meeting in the European Union, trade minister's spokesman for the French government was clear that the trading bloc's response to blanket tariffs on goods could include services, bringing U.S. tech giants within its scope. Sophia Primus told the media last week that the response to sweeping U.S. tariffs on EU goods at 20% would hit digital services. You responded to U.S. tariffs on aluminum and steel last month, but the blanket tariff announced by the president, which have wiped trillions of dollars of global stock market valuation, require another response. They say the second response will cover all products. I want to stress this. Services will be included. She said that digital services, including those provided Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, would be in scope. So, whatever you think about the tariffs, definitely getting people to the table to talk. I've actually been asked to review this. I'm not home to get one of these, the Oofy new robot mower. And here's one thing I told him. I says, I've got a big, I got one property that's 3 acres that I share in mowing. And then my sister's place is like, half an acre of grass. So is this thing really going to work? The Oofy's new robot mower uses smart vision to trim your grass. The E15 and E18 don't need GPS, nowhere to go. So that's curious. But Anchor's lifestyle brand Oofy has already swallowed a big chunk of the robot vacuum market, and now it's got sights set on your yard. The company's been sharing details of its first 2 robot mowers since the start of the year, and now they're ready to start selling them. And what's the price on these? Does it say? Cable covering lines up to 800 square meters, while the E18 will conquer yards up to 1,200 square meters. Don't think that's going to get it. I guess per charge, has a 4200 milliamp battery. What else? Going to be $1,600 for the E15 and $19.99 for the E18. You can hire a lot of kids to mow a lot of lawn for that kind of money. That is for sure. That is for sure. Chrome is going to patch a decade-old flaw that lets sites peek at your history. After 23 years, the privacy plumbers finally arrived to clean up this mess. The privacy attack, referred to as browser history sniffing, involves reading the color values of web links on a page to see if the linked pages have been visited previously. Websites commonly consist of HTML files that describe page structure, JavaScript files that contain code for interactivity, and CSS files that describe page styling. CSS includes a pseudo class visited that can be applied to an anchor or array elements which have an href property. So web publishers and third parties capable of running scripts have used this technique to present links on a page so a visitor then check how the visitor's browser set the color for those links on the rendered web page. When the technique first emerged, this could be done by including a script. So basically, they could see where you had been. So that is going away. Tesla shares tumble after bullish analyst Dan Ives slash price target by 43%. I think great time to buy Tesla. I really do. I think it's going to come back. People are, this is only a temporary situation. People are going to come back to those vehicles. I truly believe it. Doge plans now reportedly include Doge plans now reportedly include an IRS hackathon. So they're planning to hold a hackathon next week in order to create mega API for accessing internal revenue service data. Lout says the API would be used to move the data into a cloud platform, potentially a third-party one, to serve as the read center of the agency systems. We know that they're all on COBOL right now. So this is all an attempt to try to modernize. Dodd's hackathon plans include pulling together dozens of IRS engineers in D.C. to build the API. Among third-party providers, the department has reported discussed involving is Palantir, the company for its known vast data collections and government surveillance and analyst work. Dodge's aim is to finish the API work in 30 days. A timeline one IRS employee told Wired it's not technically possible and would cripple the IRS. Well, these guys don't know how Elon works. Wired says Doge operatives orchestrating the projects are 25-year-old Gavin Kliger and health tech CEO Sam Korkos. The Washington Post reported that Korkos had pushed the agency to lift restrictions it had placed on Kilger's access to its systems and proposed an agreement to share IRS data across the government. So, one of the sources Wired spoke to said the schematizing and understanding the IRS data Doge is after would take years, and these people have no experience, not only in government, but in IRS or with taxes or anything else. It's data. Anyone that says you can't make major changes to a system in 30 days obviously has never worked in the tech world. Let's be frank. Come on. Monumental changes can happen in 30 days. And there's only so many data entry lines. If this has all been stored in databases, several thousand, 2, 3, 4,000, how many forms, how many data entry points on those forms, every one of those then can become an API call. Or subset of data can be made an API call. I think people are going to be surprised. I really do. And if this is what it takes to get the system modernized, Yeah, writing the new UI, it's going to take more than 30 days. But the API, shouldn't be that long. It really, really shouldn't. Billions and billions and billions of dollars have been wasted trying to modernize the IRS. So, when somebody that works at the IRS says this can't be done, I don't think they understand exactly who they're talking about here. All right, relatively short show today. Thank you for being here. News has just been all over the tariff stuff. Hopefully, we've cleaned up all of the audio issues, and there's no more beeping sounds. And I just needed to do this anyway. So all the gear was here, and just a matter of reconfiguring OBS and moving some of the stuff on the desk around. So I think I'm in my final configuration now. So time will tell how this ultimately works out. But having the Mac on the side and being able to use it as a second monitor, perfect. I got the big fat monitor on the desk here. So plenty of workspace and a fully capable Mac Mini that doesn't need to move, stays right here when I leave. So just again, changes here at the studio. All right, if you've got comments on today's show, or don't forget about the sponsor, GoDaddy, geeknesscentral.com/GoDaddy. And of course, don't forget about becoming an insider at geeknesscentral.com/insider. If you have a comment about the show, at Geek News on X, geeknews@gmail.com. For email, of course, geeknews.chat is where our online website is for participating and having internal discussions. I want to thank everyone for being here today. I'll be back with you on Thursday for another edition of the Geek News Central podcast. Everyone take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.